let's say somebody picks on you, or some group of guys or group of people pick on you, there's a reason why. And most of the time, it has nothing to do with you. This is something that it's very important to me because I teach a lot of kids, and a lot of kids who come to learn jujitsu come for this very reason. You know, they have similar experiences, and it's very fascinating. Very fascinating. Hopefully, we can touch on this later in the conversation.
I think like there's a lot of to define personality of someone. Nationality and environment is really it influence a lot. But I think we born in already in some way, like it define 30% of a personality, at least, I think.
You mean like right from birth?
Yes,
Oh, I see.
I think. How do you think about that?
Honestly, I don't know enough to give you like an authentic answer, but my gut feeling tells me that the environment has a very big impact on things that we do, how people behave in groups in an unnatural way. I do believe people are born compassionate. Because it's necessary for survival. If we weren't compassionate, if we didn't care for each other, we just wouldn't survive as a species, right? It's because the mom cares for the baby, the dad cares for the baby. This bond and us looking out for each other, and we live in groups. This is what allows us to survive as people. But like you said, the environment plays, in my opinion, a much bigger role in the shaping of, let's say, our personality, which I also believe is still not us, right? Because your environment can shape your personality, and you can have a personality that's not really in alignment with who you feel you really are. My opinion is that most people feel this disconnect.
Yes.
But this is something I'm still studying right now and trying to get more knowledge and learn more about.
Do you go to a psychologist? Do you go see a psychologist regularly?
Not regularly. I used to see a therapist, but I guess you could say I see one, but through the internet.
Yes.
I study a lot of Gabor Mate's videos. He's a very, I guess you could say, popular. I don't know what you would call him, like a therapist / they call him the people whisperer.
Okay.
But yeah, he goes into topics ranging anywhere from addiction to ADHD to all kinds of like mental disorders.
Yes.
He explains it based on your childhood experiences in childhood.
Yes.
So yeah, this is also something that I study because I want to help my students and anybody who I can help. And what I'm good at is jujitsu, but I can use that knowledge of jujitsu to, not just to teach people self-defense, but it's much more than that. Because, for instance, I can teach somebody to be able to defend themselves against anybody, but they could still have pain inside them. And so I've always been taught from the very beginning from my instructors that jujitsu is just one aspect and one area of life, which
Yes.
it is. It's not everything. But they always taught me, my instructors Hiron and Henner Gracie. They have this concept called the 10 black belts, and there's more. But just to keep it simple, 10 black belts. It could be anything from topics ranging from communication, relationships, spirituality, physical, mental health, finance. The idea is to start your journey, to put on your white belt in every aspect of life.
Yes, it's very important thing.
Because if you think in terms of jiu-jitsu, which is like the way I see everything, 99% or more don't even put on their white belt. So they never start the journey. They may be casual observers. They watch videos, but they never join an academy and actually try it. But that's the most important step, right? So it's very important for me to put on my white belt, get my stripes, start advancing, becoming a blue belt, a purple belt in other areas of life, eventually with the goal of becoming a black belt in all aspects of life. And the more I can do that, the more I can help people and connect with people, and speak more deeply, not just about techniques.
Yes. I have one story because when I was high school, there was a small guy who got always bullied by kind of everyone. In Korea, there is a kind of like a phenomenon of between a student. It called like wangta or ijime in Japanese. It's like one person get bullied by every person, every group. One minority got I don't know, get bullied by majority. So this guy got bullied for 1 year during a whole first year, and then since second year he started to train boxing. So physically he got kind of stronger, but this wasn't a solution. He got bullied by a majority, a lot of people. It was not solution because this boxing gym teached anything for the mentality. So like a physical force was not the reason that he got bullied. His comportment, his like a relationship with all other people kind of provocate this kind of violence. So I think even without like a martial arts skill or something like this, if we learn somewhere some kind of like a way to think and a way to approach with people and a way to control relationship with other people, it can like solve the problem, I think. So I think why I say so, because I think I see two type of different martial arts. So for me, like a martial arts who has like this kind of philosophy and mental thing, is kind of jiu-jitsu and taekwondo and karate and kind of Eastern Asian martial art, but not wrestling, not boxing, not even Muay Thai, because they don't. I can't generalize every gym, but they kind of remove this mental part.
That's interesting. I can understand what you're saying. Interestingly, even jiu-jitsu, there are gyms without this philosophical, that don't offer this philosophical teaching. In fact, I would say the majority. The way I see it is slightly different. I see like they're like a color spectrum. You go from white to black, and there are many different colors. Even within colors, there's shades. Self-defense is the same. So if white is doing nothing and just allowing the attacker to do whatever they want, black being killing them instantly, you have all these variations in between. Now, the real question is, in the society we live in right now, what constitutes self-defense? And the way I see it is, if an attacker attacks me, let's say we have a range of 1 to 10, 10 being instant death. One being something very light.
Yes.
If the attacker attacks me with a 4, I want to be able to match anywhere from 3 to 5. Of course, it helps me to know 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But I need to have the ability, first the technical ability, and then the emotional control, maturity to be able to execute that. For me, this is what I see as self-defense. So if all I know is to knock somebody out with a overhand right, that's all I know, then any physical threat, which could be different, everybody interprets physical threat differently. For example, if I came very close to you in front of your face and I was there too long, you can interpret that as a physical threat and punch me, right? But then the question I would ask is, was that self-defense, right? So I could also verbally assault you or start to tease you. And, you know, if all you know is an armbar, that's, even if that falls into jujitsu and we consider jujitsu self-defense, I would not say that's self-defense.
No.
So being able to, I guess, respond equally, a little bit less, a little bit more, depending on the situation. That to me is self-defense. And then the philosophical teaching, I think it really depends on the instructor. Like who's teaching you, right? Because I may be the best Muay Thai fighter in the world and be a horrible person. Then you're probably not going to learn a lot from me about about life and how to be a good person, how to develop and mature. Like for me, that's the entire journey of life. Is you start as a very dependent baby as a kid to your caregiver or your parents. It's a process from that to becoming completely independent. And these a person like me or a boxing coach or a wrestling coach or a taekwondo instructor can help this process of becoming independent. And also I think it's also important for especially because jiu-jitsu is very popular among adults. It's a very unique martial art in that it's very popular among adults. Like, can you imagine another martial art where people go to work, they work, let's say 9 to 5, they get off work, they eat dinner, and they consistently go to train a martial art as a hobby? I think jiu-jitsu is probably the most sought after the martial art.
This is extremely addictive.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think there's a reason. But to help adults too, it's also, I find myself helping adult students mostly with connecting with themselves. So I believe everybody has like an authentic self to them.
Yes.
They have their own unique way of living and expressing their thoughts and their emotions.
Yes.
But we touched on this a little bit in a while ago, but the environment has a way of changing who you are.
Yes.
Or shaping who you are.
Yes.
And it's my personal opinion that our current environment has a way of disconnecting us from our authentic self. And so the way I see jiu-jitsu is, one, it's a form of self-defense. It's like a Band-Aid, right? So this kid who was getting bullied, if he knew jiu-jitsu, immediately he can defend himself from getting killed or getting injured. But that's not the solution.
No.
It's a Band-Aid. To put out the fire, he needs a whole bunch of other stuff. But a part of the philosophy is, well, how can you connect back to who you really are? Because my opinion is, who we really are, we are self-sufficient. We don't need to look outside for happiness. That could be in the form of power. That could be in the form of a substance. So any kind of addiction. But it doesn't have to be a substance. It could be sex. It could be power. Like I always need to feel power.
Mm.
And I think with bullies, that is the main addiction.
Mm.
They want to feel in control
Mm.
and powerful,
Mm.
which by definition means because they're seeking it outside,
Mm.
they don't have it inside.
Mm.
And if they lack that inside, then they are not really powerful.
Mm.
They're disconnected. And in my opinion, they're weak.
Mm.
Because when I meet a truly powerful, strong, connected person,
Mm.
I sense peace and compassion,
Mm.
empathy.
Mm.
Now they're not pushovers though.
Mm.
If I do something that they don't like, they'll let me know.
Mm.
And if I keep doing it, they will get angry.
Mm.
They set clear boundaries,
Mm.
but they're very empathetic and they're very compassionate people.
Mm.
It's the people who have the inner pain,
Mm.
and it can come from anywhere. It can come from their childhood. It can come from who knows.
Mm.
So many different ways you can get these wounds, but they try to seek power
Mm.
by putting down other people,
Mm.
and they always go after the other children or kids who they feel won't fight back or they won't set a boundary because it's an automatic win. It's an easy win.
Mm.
And once they find that kid and that kid doesn't set a boundary, they don't say no or they don't say stop or they never get angry. They keep going. Now, the funny thing is because they're weak,
Mm.
a little resistance can stop it,
Mm.
you see. But, because I teach so many kids, I've come to realize a trend. A lot of kids come to my academy thinking that it's not okay to be angry.
Mm.
It's not okay to express anger. But anger is very natural, right?
Yes.
It's in fact necessary for survival. So to not be angry is to suppress something that's very natural to us, just like being happy, right? Let's say I said, you cannot smile ever. Something wrong will happen. It's the same thing with anger. But they have this belief that they cannot get angry, especially in school or to their parents. But anger, it's very important to learn the skill of managing because anger, like jujitsu, there's different shades and colors and intensities,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I can express anger with my eyes.
Yes.
I can set a boundary with my hands.
Yes.
I can kind of yell at you.
Yes.
Or I can uncontrollably be angry at you, which is rage, which tends to be what people do is they hold it in and then all of a sudden they get rage. Rage, in my opinion, is not natural. So that's something that doesn't come down.
Yes.
But I can say, stop. And then you say, I'm sorry. And I go, it's cool. I'm sorry I scared you. Right? And then we can move on. And it's like it never happened. But because of that, if I constantly for like years, I'm never going to be friends with you. And I'm always going to be mad. I'm going to pick on you too. That's my problem. Right? So, yeah, this is part of the teaching.
Yeah, it's true that every victim of a bully, they are really embarrassed when they express themselves anger, even happiness, like other emotion also. They get embarrassed. They can't really laugh like loudly.
Yeah.
They can't really get angry like real human, because maybe because I was kind of like this, because my parents was really strict. So for me, it was not allowed to get anger in front of my father. So I didn't really know how to get angry in front of other guys. So bad sign to other guys. So bad reaction from other guys. So there is no like a good communication between other guys and me. So
that's very interesting. So there are a couple key words that jump to my head. You said embarrassed.
yes.
Which is a form of shame, right? You feel shameful. And then you also mentioned that your father didn't like it when you got angry at him.
No.
Now, this is a whole, I don't know the history of between you and your father. But let's just say, for example,
But you know Asian father.
yes, I do. And you also mentioned you had a very strict childhood. Your parents are very strict,
Yes.
which I would generally say is the case for most
Yes.
Koreans,
Yes.
right? So yeah, this is crazy. When parents are too strict, for example, it develops a overwhelming amount of shame in children. Especially the younger they are, the more it is, the more the case is. And we're talking about anyone from a kid from as early as as soon as they're born, anywhere up to from then up to 4 years old. If there's too much punishment, they'll feel too much shame. And what this does, it creates a lot of stress in the child. Now, as adults, let's say I just started to swear on this podcast. I started to act a little, just rude.
Yes.
You have options. You have choices. You can tell me to leave. You can ask somebody to help. Or you can literally step outside, right? You have these choices, though.
Yes.
But a little child does not have those choices.
No.
So then they have to keep it all inside, right? And what happens when they can't deal with it? They'll tune out. That's their only coping mechanism, right? So now, when you have this stress inside, there's a tendency to feel like you're not good enough, because you can't just tune out your parents. They are your survival, right? Or your primary caregiver. So you have to have their attachment, but it comes at the expense of your authenticity, right? Because, you're expressing a need, but, if your parents can't handle that, or if they suppress it, you have to sacrifice that.
Yes.
So it creates all kinds of situations. One could be this habit of suppressing yourself, suppressing your emotions, your authentic emotions. Now that's where the first disconnect starts to happen. And you mentioned shame. I feel a lot of kids, even myself, develop this shame, and it comes from a very strict childhood. It's a very conditional relationship.
Yes.
It's like, you have to do this well
Yes.
to get my approval,
Yes.
which also means there's an implicit meaning behind that. It means if you don't, you're not going to get this.
Like score of test or something.
Right.
Yes.
Or something worse.
Yes.
Right. In my experience, I've experienced the worst too, like a punishment.
Yes.
So as a child, even as an adult, I had this, I didn't even know, but I had this feeling like I was not good enough alone. Just being alive is not good enough, right? I need to do things
To impress
Right.
parents.
Right.
Impress parents is crazy.
Yes. When in fact, that's not true, right? But anyways, this disconnect, when weak kids bully other kids, is not because they're different, okay? Because I can be different and be very confident about that. And if you say something to me, I can say, stop, don't. That makes me feel bad. And I can set a boundary. But it's when the kid is different and thinks that's wrong, but doesn't do anything about it. The other children sense that disconnect.
Yes.
He's trying to conform, but he can't, or he's having trouble. They feel this, and it comes off as weak energy. And then the weak kid who has this addiction for power goes after the weak kid who's struggling. And then he gets to feed his own addiction. And what happens is, if a child is taught never to be angry, well, what are you doing then? You're just holding that anger in and in and in. it will explode one day.
Yeah, it will explode.
Right.
There's no exception.
And even if it does not explode in the form of rage or violence, it comes off as suppression. So then you feel even weaker because you're not being authentic. So then there's more torturing, there's more teasing and bothering. And then one day it will explode, or it will manifest itself in some kind of, maybe you get very drunk or you use a substance too much to escape yourself. Yeah, I can go on for hours about this.
Yes, but I really agree with you. But when I was in art school, and when I was in master degree, I should write my own thesis, and I wrote about kind of why I started martial arts with my tutor. It was not tutor. It was a writer invited by a school to help other guys to write this. So he was a philosopher also. So he tried to like a psychologist. He tried to analyze my why I did that. So the thing is, it's not definitive answer. So, but why I did martial arts, because when there's argument, I didn't have a competence to fight verbally. So my choice is like communicate with deal with some like a fighting situation with my physique. What he said, he was French. So what he said is why martial arts is developed, especially in Eastern Asian country. Why not in a European country? European country, as you know, European country, they have a lot of war.
Right.
They kill each other. But as you know, fight form is not for killing each other. It's just for to arguing. You know, we don't really kill when we fight with a knuckle. We don't use knife. Why this form of fight especially developed in Eastern Asian country? Because there is no culture to fight verbally in Eastern Asian country.
Or it's suppressed.
Yes, suppressed.
It's very suppressed. Yeah.
Yes. In Western country, as you know, maybe I don't really know America, how they act American, but European fight a lot verbally. Verbally, like they like like in the car, from the car, like every day is fight.
It's more expressive.
Yes, they are very, very expressive, but they kind of never fight with the knuckle. There's no culture to fight. Yes, there is like a street fight sometime, but it's kind of rare in comparison.
That's very interesting. You said about what the philosopher, how he interpreted the reason why you started martial arts. I do see it. So in a way, he's saying it's a coping mechanism. It's a coping mechanism to help you deal with the feeling that you cannot set boundaries verbally, which, for sure, yes.
So the thing is, my problem is kind of common problem between Korean guys. It's not really rare. I don't think it is rare. Like I don't speak even if I get angry, but it explodes with a physical sign, with a physical gesture.
It's in our culture, and I don't think it's just limited to Korea. But our culture encourages this. So there's this whole idea about you cannot say certain things to people who are older than you. You cannot say certain things to people who are of higher rank than you. And there's also this issue of man and woman, right? There are many, I don't know how to explain it, but there are rules. And let's say my gut feeling wants me to say this to this person. There are certain cultural rules that say you shouldn't, or you're going to be shamed,
Yes.
right? You're going to become an outcast.
Yes.
So that the culture, in a way, is suppressing. It's encouraging the suppression of certain emotions,
Mm.
and I don't think it's a surprise that, as a result, a lot of martial arts were developed
Mm.
in Korea, Japan, in China, in
It's
Mongolia.
just theory that he think, but it's not definitive.
It could be one. It could be
possible.
I think there is a correlation.
Mm.
But interesting, I think there's also a correlation between that and, for example, this is kind of off topic, but maybe this culture of alcoholism,
Mm.
this culture of not culture, but maybe if we look at our fertility rate,
Mm.
why is it so bad,
Mm.
right? There's a lot of suppression going on.
Mm.
If you look at our education system in Korea, it's very intense.
Yeah, it's very famous because it is very
I feel
toxic.
it's inhumane.
Mm.
This should not happen.
Mm.
But children don't have a choice, or they don't think they have
It's
a
really
choice,
tragic.
right?
that
They don't
they don't
feel
have a
they have a choice. And so there's so much suppression going on. There's so much stress.
Mm.
And naturally, it's only going to lead to disconnection from your true self.
Mm.
And when you become 20-something, 30-something, 40-something, that's when you have the serious questions. You ask yourself the serious questions.
Mm.
Who am I? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? And usually you don't have an answer.
It's really sad because it's a really sad thing because
Mhm.
can I tell you some
Sure.
stereotype of a Korean life? It's not.
Sure.
I really don't want to generalize everybody. I
Mhm.
really don't. It's not everybody, but kind of. Yeah, we grew up. We go to very good university, and then we get hired. Not like we don't do business, but we get hired by one very big company,
Mhm.
and then we can kind of get get paid like $5,000 per month, and then it comes up by year a little by little,
Mhm.
and then because we are scared to be we are scared to take a risk when we do a business, so like
Mhm.
a Korean choice is kind of get hired by a big company, and then we get in couple with someone that we don't really know, and then we get
Mhm.
married.
Mhm.
We go to karaoke,
Mm.
like a karaoke.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is another, in my opinion, the way I see that, this whole culture of it's addiction to sex and power.
Yes.
I see it as an addiction,
Mm.
and any addiction it's coming from a place of something's lacking in you.
Mm.
There's something going on inside you to seek pleasure
Mm.
from the outside.
Mm.
So the real question is, what's going on inside?
Mm.
The real question is, why do you have that pain?
Mm.
Right? Not why do you have the addiction?
Mm.
It's why the pain? Where is this pain coming from?
Mm.
Once we can really start talking about this, we can start addressing the root cause.
Mm.
But you see, like I do agree, because I lived in Korea basically almost my whole life. So I grew up. I was born in Korea. I moved to New York as soon as I was born. Like literally, as soon as I can get on the plane, my mom took me to New York. I lived there until I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I came back.
Mm.
And I spent, my whole life here. A couple of years in university, a couple of years training jiu-jitsu in California.
Mm.
But basically, I grew up in Korea. I also went to spend 3 years in a major corporation
Mm.
working.
Sorry, but why your family left to US?
It had to do with my father's business.
Ah, okay.
So he had his job and his business. So we went
Okay.
back and forth.
Yes.
But it gave me this interesting perspective to this different lens to look at Korean culture from,
Mm.
because I got to experience both sides. Every winter vacation, summer vacation, I would go back to New York City, just because I really liked it. and also for visa purposes, I had to.
Mm.
So I was always in tune with the United States culture and Korean culture, and I could feel and see the contrast
Mm.
every day,
Mm.
even till this day. So what I think you're saying, of course, there are generalizations, but there's something there, right? It's definitely a culture, a subculture. It's a trend. Many people do it. And my question is, why? Why do we have this pain?
Because usually there is no moment to have like having a self-awareness in usual Korean's life. Like we follow always something. There is a very big test after in the end of high school. So we prepare for that for kind of like during 15 years or something like this. So we don't have time to having a self-awareness. So the thing is, there is in high school, I remember that philosophy is not really important part. I remember it's been a while that I was in high school, so I don't really remember. But I keep comparing with the French education system, but in French education system, philosophy is one of the most important thing. So
I think it should be.
Yeah, to figure out who am I and how I see the world, or something like this. But there is a miss of a philosophy between people,
and
in this country.
Just sports, physical education, running around, being outside in nature.
You know what? I disagree with you. Because French people, there's a lot of French people who can't even like push up one time.
Oh, no, I don't mean in France. I mean in Korea.
Okay.
There is a criminal lack of physical activity that's taught in school. Now it's not even mandatory.
Yes.
You don't even have to teach physical education.
Okay.
Yeah. And I see this. When I teach kids coming from Korean schools. I also have kids coming from international schools. I can see it from as early as age 4 to 5. The difference in athletic ability, coordination, balance. And it's extremely clear when they're adults.
I'm a really big believer. Yeah, I'm a really big believer that to be an intelligent person, it's not only about brain. Brain is related by a whole body. I think the whole body function all together
as one.
Yes.
Yes,
it's
I
agree. I think body is one part of brain I can't really express.
We should just call it body.
Yes.
Like brain and body is the same. So it's for example, I caught a cold last month, and it just so happened to be the time when I was the most stressed. Or not the most stressed in my life, but just stressed in general with work. And I caught a cold. But you see, I go out I go to mountains. I like to jump into cold water.
Yes.
Like 4 degrees, 5 degrees water.
Yes.
Right?
Like Wim Hof.
Yes. I don't catch a cold.
Yeah.
I catch a cold when I'm stressed and when my 면역력 is down.
Immune system.
Yeah, my immune system. And it's usually compromised when there's something going wrong or something going on in my heart, in my brain.
Everything is related.
It's related. Yeah.
So that's why I have a very small gift for you.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because I saw on your Instagram that you really like a Wim Hof style or like a cold bathing. Because I try to do those things.
Okay.
I let me tell you one story because it's been a 1 year.
It's not easy. Yeah.
It's not easy. It's really not easy. It's been a 1 year. I used to like taking just a cold shower in winter time.
That's the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the beginning. But even that, as you know, really difficult, really hard. It's not like what people imagine. It's really hard.
The water gets colder in the winter.
Yes.
The cold water, yeah.
So it was winter time, and I went to Jeju with my ex-girlfriend, and then and we went to a beach, and it was like a kind of minus 3-4 degree, and I get into water of beach.
That's intense.
So that's
Mm.
very intense because water is colder than air.
Yeah.
I imagine. So what I felt at the time was I got in.
Uh-huh.
My balls got very smaller.
You're dying, basically.
Yeah, it got really tight. So I said to myself, yeah, like for the mental force,
Mm-hmm.
I could resist
Mm.
against this coldness.
Mhm.
But the thing is, I said to myself, oh, maybe I'm gonna lose my balls.
Mhm.
It was that small. It was really like it make me baby balls. You know, it was really small. Did you ever like felt this kind of like a ball issue?
No, but I definitely feel it in my fingers and my toes.
Ah,
And when -4, that means the water's colder. You can
Yes.
die.
yes, I can. I'm kind of crazy.
So the coldest water I've ever gone into is 0.
Yeah.
I felt like I was going to lose my fingers and my feet.
Mm.
It felt like someone was stabbing it with a knife constantly. And then slowly up to my knees and my elbows too.
How many times did you stay in?
Thankfully, it was summertime
Yeah.
and it was very hot outside. So I would stay in for a minute, 30 seconds,
Okay.
come out, and go back in. I would do this a couple times. But the worst was when I did this in Korea. It was actually not too long ago, like a couple weeks ago. The outside temperature was 5 degrees. So the water, I don't know. I
Should
didn't
be
check, but it's probably very low.
-5.
It was worse when I got out because my temperature wouldn't go up.
Ah.
So I put on shoes. I put on like many layers of socks. I had 2 pair of gloves. I thought I was gonna lose my fingers and my toes. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
it's-
So let me show you my gift because I think you should try this under the water.
Okay.
It's this aqua mask.
Oh
So-
wow!
So,
Yes.
so you can
know?
wear it. It's
Yeah.
like a tuba.
Yes.
It's like tuba, but it's not necessary to grab with your mouth the tuba. So you can
Mhm.
just wear the mask and you can see whole underwater while
Ah.
you taking ice.
I
ice
see.
bath.
And then there's the air.
Yes.
Thank you. You know, I actually wanted to buy one of these
Yeah.
so I could stay underwater for a long time.
And then yes,
Yeah, and then keep my head cold.
yes.
Yeah.
With this, except the face, but at least you can get in like a fully
Yeah.
into the water.
Yes.
So yeah, I bought
you.
this. No, you're welcome. It's my pleasure, Mister. It's my pleasure. Don't worry about that. I got this product from Decathlon. Decathlon is French.
Ah.
French, you know.
I was actually there yesterday. I
Ah.
was at Hanam Starfield Mall.
Yes, I got from there.
Really?
Yes,
Wow. Okay. I was there yesterday.
yes, yeah. Because I said to myself, there isn't too much like people who know this store. I really like Decathlon because Decathlon is like H&M for sport for me.
Yeah.
It's really not expensive.
Right.
As you know, really not expensive. Do you know how it cost this mask? It looks really expensive. It's just like a $40, 40, 30, 40, something like this. But it's really useful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I was actually there to buy a pair of so I just bought a inflatable tub.
What is it?
Like an inflatable
Tube.
like an ice bath.
Okay.
So I can get in. There's an outlet there's an inlet to put in cold water, there's an outlet
I see.
to take out water, and there's also an inlet to put in hot water. And for now I'm just going to put in cold water and get in myself.
Yes.
And then in the summer I'm going to buy a water cooler so I can bring down the temperature of the water,
Okay.
and I can do this in my house.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why
So
not?
it's on the way right now.
Why not like a trash can, like a Brazilian style, jiu-jitsu style?
I was, but in the summertime it's a problem because the water is not as cold as
Mhm.
I want it to be.
Yes.
They need to have the inlet and outlet,
I see.
yeah, to attach the water cooler to.
Yes.
Mm.
But did you feel? Personally, I tried this cold bath.
Mm-hmm.
Wim Hof style cold bath for I think 3 months. Physically, honestly I didn't feel any benefit from that. But maybe for long term, it should be good.
So it really depends, like how long you stay in the water, like depending on the temperature too. So the general idea is you want to get into water that makes you feel uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be freezing, right? It could be 10 degrees. It could be, I don't know, like 15, 19 degrees.
Okay, I went too extreme.
Yeah, that's very extreme.
Yes.
That's extremely extreme. But the idea is to get in, feel uncomfortable, stay in to the point where you feel like you can handle this. You don't feel that cold anymore.
Okay.
So if someone says come out, you can say I'll stay a little bit longer.
Okay.
That's when you come out. But if you come out when you have to come out, it's not really working.
Okay.
But the benefit comes from, when you come out of the water, your body temperature to survive, it heats up.
Yeah.
And then you also get this rush of dopamine. So you're going to feel very fresh, depending on how you did it. I'm still looking into the science too, so I'm still learning, but I can feel the benefits clearly. So I do it every day. Right now, I just take the cold shower.
Yes.
When I was in California, I did the extreme. We got I was with my instructor, Hiron Gracie, yes. And he takes this to the extreme. So he has a cold plunge. It's basically a bathtub, and he has a water cooler. The water is like 4 degrees, 0 degrees. He gets in like breakfast, lunch, dinner. He's in there for a minute, 30 seconds, like several cycles.
Yes.
He's doing this every day. And so when I went to California, we just got this big wooden barrel and we poured in water and ice, lots of ice. Like a truck came with ice.
Truck?
Yeah. And we would just get in the water and we do this all day long. But yeah, I definitely felt, the dopamine, the clear-headedness. You can think clearly, you feel happier.
Me too, but just right after for
True, right.
30 minutes.
Yeah,
or something like this. But not for, I didn't feel anything for the journey.
Right. I don't think it's a long-term thing.
Okay.
They say, like, there are many studies that say it lasts for, an hour or two. For me too, I feel good for, like 30 minutes. But, yeah.
It's like this because I have a very secret technique to get out from a hangover from alcohol.
Cold water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I take a shower and
Yeah.
then I can sleep. Do you like drink?
No, I don't drink at all.
You don't drink at all?
I was gonna say, just stop drinking.
So you're really stereotype of a jiu-jitsu guy, right? You're eating acai bowl and then ice bathing and doing jiu-jitsu, and you have also your own gym.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's a stereotype because I don't know many people who do this. Like even among jiu-jitsu instructors, jiu-jitsu athletes who live a truly healthy, authentic lifestyle. Yeah.
I thought that every jiu-jitsu instructor.
No.
Oh yeah.
No.
Do you know some guys who do?
I know. Let's just say this: I know more who don't than who do. So I learned this directly from, watching Hiron and Henner.
Okay.
But that's about it. That's all. And there are more, people that I know who also teach the philosophical aspect of jiu-jitsu, who live, who quote unquote live jiu-jitsu. A couple people I can mention, like Professor Pedro Valance. I met him just a couple months ago, but I knew about him. But I can only name a handful of people. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a stereotype. Because it's more of a rarity, in my opinion. But all in all, I do feel it's important to know who you're learning from. Like, who is this person, rather than, how good is he or she? What belt are they? what have they accomplished.
Mm.
It's more about how they teach and who they are as people,
Mm.
right? Because I could smoke,
Mm.
you know, I could go out right now after this podcast,
Mm.
get a cigarette,
Yes.
teach class tonight, Friday night, go drink. How can I possibly teach you, or how can I possibly connect with you on a deep level when I talk about things like self-respect, health, connection with yourself, being, having, you know, like being self-sufficient,
Yes.
happiness from within,
Mm.
spirituality,
Mm.
when I don't live it?
Mm.
I'm basically lying to you.
It really makes sense because what about what you talked about at the beginning of podcast, it's
Mhm.
really like a go with this idea because yeah, we say that the martial arts is entire like a psychological and like a physical
Mhm.
physical thing. So yeah, it makes sense because
Yeah.
one time I saw one MMA instructor
Mm-hmm.
who just smoked right after training with his student.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was kind of extreme.
Yeah. And
Lack of like a mental. It's not related with a mental thing.
mhm.
So
Right. And that's so Grandmaster Elio Gracie. He created, along with his older brother Carlos Gracie, Grandmaster Carlos Gracie, they created Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. They were very spiritual people. That's what most people don't know.
Okay.
It's very well documented and published, but they're known for the techniques and the jiu-jitsu and the fighting and their sons, you know, the going out, the UFC.
Yes.
But the part that's missed is they're extremely spiritual people. And it was all about teaching and helping. Not just, hey, now that you're a purple belt, now you should be confident. Now you can deal with the bully. Now you're fine. This is very shallow. It's more about, you know, how do you feel? Why do you communicate like that? Why do you treat her like that? You have this habit of doing this. Or you're not eating healthy.
Yeah.
Why? Why are you addicted to sugar? It was connecting with their students on a deeper level. And the physical part, I mean, we can start with either or, right? We can learn the philosophical aspect first. We can learn the technical aspect first. Either way, it's a connection to yourself. You're going to feel it, right? So if I teach you one day, 1 hour training with me, you're going to feel, well, compared to before, a little bit more connection with yourself, with your body, right? So then I can say, now that you felt that connection to your body, it's just you know, like a jumping pad. We can now talk about other things. Now let's get connected with your, you know, your spiritual self, because you're not your personality. Then it's a way to transition into other areas of your life. This is a good teacher, right? Because if I just taught you jujitsu,
Like guru.
yes, right, and but to do that, it starts with me. So I have to, you know, I don't need to be a black belt in everything, but I at least need to have started. I have to have started reading a book, at least look online, so that I can connect with somebody in that field and you know, vibe with them and bounce ideas off of each other and learn. That way, you know, they say in general, you need to know something 3 times better to teach it.
Yeah.
Because someone's always going to ask you why. Then you need to have the answer.
Yeah.
And then they'll go, but you need to have another answer, right?
Yes.
So it's a constant journey for me. And it's fun because not only do I need it to teach, but I want it because it helps me learn and helps me connect with myself. And I grow as a human being. So it's a all-in-one package for me.
So what part it helped you to grow this book on the desk?
This book,
Yes.
this
I
book,
was curious about that.
yes. So it's called Scattered Minds by Gabor Mate. It says the title says the origins and healing of attention deficit disorder. But the title can be kind of misleading because we have this general understanding of what ADD is.
ADD, what is it?
ADHD.
ADHD.
Attention deficit disorder.
Okay.
What it basically is it goes into how your childhood experiences or trauma. So trauma is not what happened to you, but what happened inside of you. So, the two same people, maybe we both got beat up, but one person's okay with that. They can forget.
Yeah.
But the other person has a wound.
Yeah.
They will not forget. So then they have a trauma. So tracing traumas from childhood and connecting it to your adulthood and your level of connection to yourself, physical illnesses, how to treat yourself, or how to, maybe treat is not the best word, but how to develop yourself. So just understanding yourself better. Because we always think that voice in our head is us and our personality is who we are.
Yes.
That's not true. Right? A lot of our environment, which is out of our control,
Yes.
going all the way back into childhood, which is really out of our control,
Yes.
shapes how we think, maybe limits how we think. We can't see beyond something. Maybe we can't even focus. Or maybe we've suppressed so many emotions. So when I say depression, people automatically assume sad. That's not really the case. You get sad because you can't feel. That's what depression is.
Yes.
You cannot feel anymore. So when you see and feel other people feeling, you get sad. So, but imagine how many things encourage you to hold in your emotions.
Yes.
There's so many.
So many variation. I'm really interested with this kind of, for me, it's really modern and new knowledge, new science. For me, I consider this kind of knowledge as a science. But it's not what I learned from high school or from television. But I'm really interested. That's why I really want to see guys like you, because I really felt you're really interested in this kind of new science. It's really a new thing for me. For example, soon I'm gonna invite one doctor who work in Seoul. He's French, obviously. But I knew this doctor because he work in Gangnam. In French, we call it osteopathy. It's like it's kind of trend in Instagram. We adjust the bone, like we pull.
Yes.
So like it's kind of extreme thing on Instagram, but we don't really do this during the treatment. But I went there because I have a problem in my back, and then what he educated me in 1 hour was really interesting, because it's exactly what he is. It's not from my own knowledge that I told you that a whole body is related by with the brain. It's his knowledge. He said that So he said to me, do you know why you have a bloated belly when you're stressed? Because every nerve is related. There is a lot of nerve that cover your brain.
Yes.
It goes down with the colon.
Yes.
And it cover also your stomach.
Yes.
So if this nerve get tensed,
Yes.
Down there it get tensed. So that's why it make a bloated.
Yes.
So that's why the composition of a stomach get changed. So it influence your form of colon. I can
see that happening. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why when you get stressed, you have more pain in your back. Really, for me, it's crazy interesting.
Yes, and there's, I'm definitely not a specialist, or I'm just somebody interested in these topics. But I was just reading this as I was coming here. your sympathetic nervous system. Basically, it's your fight or flight response, right? How do you feel when somebody pushes you or like a tiger comes after you? You get very nervous.
I get scared.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically, all your blood rushes into your muscles. It's your body telling you, hey, run or fight like crazy or hide and don't make a sound.
Okay.
That's basically what it's telling you to do.
Yes.
Right? And you might even get stomach aches
Yes.
because you want to be light if you're going to run.
Ah.
Right?
Okay.
But so, for example, me, when I get very stressed, I get like bad stomach too. I get a bad stomach, and when I meditate, it goes away. That's what I noticed.
Yes.
It's very connected. It's very connected, and I would even go as far to, this is just something that I'm reading, but many physical illnesses, anything from asthma to lupus to even cancers, it can be connected to your mental state or your psychological state.
Yes.
Especially if it's in a certain state for too long, it could definitely influence your health.
Yes.
And why is this jujitsu guy talking about this? I think at this point many people will be asking. For me, jujitsu is about controlling, not controlling, because you can never like fully control, but to have this awareness about your parasympathetic nervous system. No, your sympathetic nervous system, sorry. Let's just call it the flight or fight response. Right? So if somebody pushed me or somebody called me a bad thing in front of my girlfriend,
Yes.
for example, right? There's a stress response. Adrenaline, cortisol rush into my body.
Yes.
I want to do something,
Yes.
right? Now, if I get attacked,
Yes.
the same thing will happen. I know what to do. And I know how to respond so that it's self-defense. I don't have to go crazy on this person. I can just control this person. That is something you feel once you have a certain mastery of, for example, jiu-jitsu. Once I felt this, I felt like a new chapter of my life opened, because I feel like I can somewhat control this response, or it doesn't feel as intense anymore. So now when somebody just looks at me wrong, in the past I would get a little bit upset, like, you're looking down on me. If somebody was with me and that happened, I would feel shame. But now it doesn't mean anything, because on a daily basis, it's getting triggered. I have students who've been training with me for over 10 years, and they're trying to choke me. Pro MMA fighters come in, they're trying to hit me. And no, of course, it's not life and death, but my brain probably doesn't know the difference. So everything feels a lot lighter. But the more important thing is that does not change. That does not fix everything. In fact, it was only the beginning. It's when I felt that and I realized it's not enough. Then I started to ask myself questions like, what else is going on? What else happened to me? What else is programmed in my mind? Because I still feel triggered. It may not be because of a physical threat, like somebody saying, let's fight. But a certain way someone says something to me, or maybe the relationship between me and my employees, maybe they do something that I don't agree with, and it triggers a certain anger or sadness in me.
Yes.
Why do I feel this way? I thought I was the master, So this curiosity keeps growing in me, and it encourages me to learn and learn and learn and more.
How old are you?
37.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you become more and more wise.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yes.
And I
age,
feel
age influence, huh?
I think
No?
so. I think age, I feel the best way to learn is from reflecting back. So it's important to make mistakes as a result.
Very good. Very good point.
right? But for example, age can matter and it can not matter, right? For
That's
example,
true. That is true.
you know, if you're like 6 years old, of course it matters,
Mm.
right? But when you become an adult, and by that it could be, you know, anything.
Mm.
But if a 22-year-old can learn and reflect very well after one mistake,
Mm.
they can change the course of you know, of their life.
Mm.
On the other end, you know, you can have a 50-year-old who's been doing the same thing. He's been making the same mistake 1,000 times, and
Yes.
it doesn't change anything. So it really depends.
Mm.
You know,
I see.
have you made the changes?
Mm.
But age just means you had more time on this earth to make more mistakes, and you have
Yes.
more opportunities
True.
to learn from that mistake.
Mm.
And the question is, did you figure out that you need to learn,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Yeah, because I've met some very my ex-girlfriend, for example, she's younger, but she's one of the most connected, emotionally mature.
Mm.
When I see her, she's like a role model for me.
Mhm.
I still talk to her for advice.
Okay.
It's not romantic, but it's there's a mutual respect. There's a huge age gap though, but she's just one example for me that, you know, age can and sometimes it doesn't matter.
Sometimes yes.
Yeah.
I was. Do you know one island called Tahiti? It's French Polynesia in
Haiti.
Tahiti.
Tahiti.
No,
Tahiti.
Tahiti is in Pacific Ocean.
Yes,
It's
I've heard of it.
yes, it's middle of nothing.
Mhm.
So it's not. People say that it's nearby New Zealand, but
Mm,
it's really far from New Zealand. So it's literally in the middle of nothing.
I see.
The culture of there is people get drunk really fast, and it's kind of Korean style drinking. So people drink really fast, and they fight
Mm.
in the street. But the thing is, I got shocked because there is a lot of like a street fight between guys, but they are 50 years old.
Mm.
For me, it was crazy thing because
Mhm.
50 years old, you still fight.
Mm.
Maybe they didn't have this kind of opportunity to have a reflex on
Yeah.
themselves.
And there's some pain inside them.
Yes.
Otherwise, why would you be drinking?
Mm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but just before to forget, I
Mhm.
wanted to share this information with you because I just said you that I'm really interested in new science,
Mm-hmm.
ERCOT. The thing is, I'm really fan of Joe Rogan also.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense, huh?
Mhm.
Because he only talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, there was one guest in Joe Rogan Experience, and he said that I remember that he's snake hunter or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
He said that snake can smell the fear.
Interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting, right?
Chemicals.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
pheromone.
Pheromone. Mm-hmm.
When we try to like confront, when we are confronting with a snake, and when we try to grab the neck of a snake, we are acting like I am brave. I'm braver than you. I'm gonna fight against you. We can act, but snake actually can
Smell it.
detect if it is acting or not.
Is this how the snake experts like not get bitten? Is they can control their fear with the snake?
I didn't understand. Sorry.
So they're snake experts that can really
Yes.
control, like
Yes.
grab the snake very well.
Yes.
Is it because they can control their fear response when they're with the snake?
I don't know. Maybe they're not. They don't even have a fear because they are expert. But
Interesting.
if I try to grab a snake and I act like I'm brave person, they can detect that I'm not expert.
Right.
It's crazy because I have one very good friend who is artist. Every my friend they're artist. kind of song. He really liked to observe animals in the forest, and he took a night vision camera in the forest just next to his home,
I see.
and he just put bread for 10 hours, something like this, and then some animal took bread, and then there is no more like a bread. But after 48 hours, there are still animal come because they smell still the smell of bread. That means that their sense of smelling is like a 500 stronger than a human being.
Right.
Crazy. I don't know why I talk about this.
Yeah, I can see why. I can see that being possible. Like my dog, he's smelling things I don't even know what's going on. I thought I cleaned it, but he can still smell stuff. But that's interesting. The thing you said about the snakes. The same can be said with people. People with people. Now I can't smell your fear, but I can see it in your behavior, especially in your behavior. And then just a couple like a short conversation.
Yes.
For example, if somebody I consider dangerous, there is no build up to a fight. There is no me standing in front of you.
Yes, true.
Us staring at each other, exchanging, swear words. It's instant. They walk up to you and they attack you.
Yes.
It's random. It's very organized. It's extremely planned and organized, and it's very surprising. They hit you when you don't see it coming.
Yes.
The person who's standing in front of you, who's constantly trying to do this power battle with you, does not want to fight. Most people don't know how insanely dirty and painful and emotionally possibly traumatic a little fight can be. Like nothing really happened. I got you in a headlock. We rolled around on the ground. I tore my pants. You pulled my hair a little bit. Someone separates us. There's a lot of it. It's an emotional roller coaster going on.
Yes.
You can hardly breathe. Nobody wants to put themselves through that, right? So you can see it. But then when I say a conversation, I'm talking about the disconnect again. When they're not connected with themselves, you automatically notice that there is a pain and there is a weakness.
Yes.
So it's not coming from a place of superiority of, I am this almighty, powerful being. This is a very hurt person. Now, when you change that perspective, your fear goes down too, because you realize you're dealing with someone who's scared as well, right? And you can be scared too. But then the jiu-jitsu helps because you realize, the Henner Gracie, he says this a lot, is, when you can deal with your worst case scenarios, when you can overcome them through techniques and, being stuck underneath somebody, with them punching you, with them choking you, trying to break your arm, your ankle.
Yes.
If you can overcome these worst case scenarios, they cease to exist. So I know that scenario is not going to happen. Then I can focus on what's truly important. It's not the fight. The fight just looks cool, right? The truly important thing is me setting my boundary early, very
the most important.
Sensitively.
Yes.
Right? This could be me saying it to you. Maybe we're outside. I just met you. You did something rude. If I don't have control of my anger, I've never practiced it, I'm going to express rage, which then is going to elicit a similar response from you. But if I say, excuse me, I didn't like what you just did. It made me feel this way. Hopefully you'd stop. And if you go, no, then I go, okay. I just wanted to let you know, and that's why I'm going to leave, right? But I never held anything in.
Yes.
I set my boundary, and I wasn't scared about you saying, F you, and punching me in the face, right?
You can say the word.
right. But that would actually make me feel more comfortable. I'm just doing what I normally do.
Yes.
But it's very important. It's important for kids. It's important for adults. It's important for women who also have men maybe sexually harassing them or putting them in iffy situations. They're uncomfortable. They have this gut feeling this is wrong,
Yes.
but it's not illegal, and maybe they feel shame or embarrassed to tell somebody, or maybe the guy does victim blaming, saying like, like blaming the woman for making a big deal out of something that really is a big deal.
Yes.
So being able to set these boundaries without the fear of physical harm or getting attacked. It's one way to help you be calm and confident when you're talking. And there are other things too, like understanding your opponent, understanding this person, knowing that they are weak, that they are suffering. You don't see them as this,
Yes.
mythical figure. But yeah, that's just one way jiu-jitsu can help in everyday life.
I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
You should go like soon, or you can stay for another half hour or something like this.
I'm good. I have a class at 7.
So you're good.
Yeah.
For staying a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm glad we met because,
Me too.
to be honest, I don't do a lot of interviews or outside stuff.
Yes.
I like to focus on my academy and our centers in Korea. But I felt like you are a genuine person. You're a sincere person. And when I have these conversations, I feel energized. If I don't, if you're not sincere and genuine, I feel very tired. But this is great.
You know the motivation of this project of a podcast
Mm-hmm.
is I try to regroup people who has this kind of energy. I try to regroup, and I'm gonna invite again and again same person also, and I want to have make a community of this kind of.
That's wonderful. Yes, I would love to meet more people like you and like me and yeah, like-minded people.
Yes.
And we could disagree, but there is no judgment.
I like to fight verbally.
Yeah,
I'm really
can-
good. I like to insult. I like to fight verbally because it's natural
Yes.
to get angry.
yes, it is
Yes, without violence.
without violence.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can we just have a pee?
Yes.
Can we
yes.
just pee?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Let's take a break.
Okay.
I was wondering, do you like music?
Yeah, I do.
What kind of music do you like?
Wow, a lot, like hip hop.
Hip hop.
There's no type. Hip hop's just one.
Can you
A
approach
good
the
beat.
mic?
Yeah, a good beat. I like music with good bass and piano. It's hard to say, but anything really.
Did you try to listen the new album of Andre 3000?
No, I
Andre,
didn't.
do you know Andre
Yeah,
3000?
yeah,
Do you like him?
yeah, I do.
Okay, I was just wondering, how do you think about Andre 3000? Because basically he's a rapper from
Yeah.
Outkast.
Yeah.
He's kind of crazy guy. But he just made his own album as Andre 3000, but it's ambience music with flute.
Wow.
Now he's playing flute.
No rapping.
No rapping.
Wow.
Do you try to hear?
No. Oh, yeah. Actually, during class, I put on this soundtrack. It's a Tibetan flute.
Oh,
It's very peaceful, but I mean, maybe this is a little different.
but you're a fan of Outkast?
Yeah.
Mm.
Very, yeah, authentic. It's not like they're not trying to follow a trend.
Mm.
they're doing their own thing.
It's him. Do you see that? It's him
Mhm.
grabbing a flute, magical flute.
So he has several songs
Yeah,
using the flute.
it's not even song. It's really ambient.
The whole song is like this.
It's ambient sound.
Really? Can you scroll like to the middle? Oh wow. Wow.
See, that is kind of crazy transition to another category from the rap.
I would like to learn the reasoning behind it. It's very interesting.
Maybe because he is crazy. Because he traveled all around the world, and when he woke, he was grabbing all his flute, and he improvised something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I respect that because music is also it's a good way to get connected with yourself. Recently, my one of my students, Nick, I asked, and I was just talking about it in class. I was saying I want to buy a drum, just something I want to like
Tap.
tap with my hands, and he had one.
Mm.
So he I'm not sure if he gave it to me or he's letting me borrow it, but he brought it to class, and I do it every day, and it's like it's a way to express my creative side. And also I think it'd be very I don't know the word, like therapeutic or just very creative if I got together with a bunch of people and we just randomly started making music.
Yes.
Nothing planned. It would be kind of funny and interesting at the same time. But I saw Wim Hof do this with drums.
Yes.
That's where I got the idea. But there's definitely something there. There's definitely something there. Singing, dancing, being able to just move my body without feeling shame or embarrassment from the people watching. Very important stuff.
Do you have a desire to develop your own expression, which is created by jiu-jitsu? Maybe because your background is jiu-jitsu, I assume that. So do you want to have live from this category of jiu-jitsu? You have create your own expression,
My
your
own
art, your own art.
So yes and no. So Grandmaster Elio Gracie's style of jiu-jitsu, the way it was intent to be, it's not a dominating form of self-defense or martial art. If you look at like taekwondo, boxing, any other martial art, you have to dominate this person.
Yes.
That could mean you have to pin them, you have to knock them out, you have to get a surrender.
Yes.
Jiu-jitsu is famous for the chokes and the arm locks,
Yes.
but that's not the main purpose. That's where everyone gets lost. It's about surviving. So if you are 30 kilos heavier than I am,
Yes.
I'm 55, you're 25,
Yes.
we get into a fight, or I have to defend myself from you. If I don't get beat up and I'm in the bottom of the fight too, and somebody breaks us apart, I can consider myself the winner because I'm going to go to work the next day. I'm going to continue doing what I did.
Yes.
Physically, emotionally, psychologically, I'm fine.
Mm.
And I am the winner,
Mm.
right? Because
It's
you
not
could,
the question of ego.
right.
Mm.
So he always said, if you do not lose, you can only win.
Mm.
So that's the philosophy that I continue to train
Mm.
with. It's maximizing your ability to defend.
Mm.
And there's no end to it because I can defend so early
Mm.
to the point where when I see your eyes move and look at my left arm,
Mm.
then I can dedicate all my defensive efforts to
Mm.
not even let you grab my left hand
Mm.
or my wrist,
Yes.
right? So the early defense is better. So that is the philosophy that in terms of jiu-jitsu expression,
Mm.
when I spar, when I fight, that is the style that I take.
Mm.
I wouldn't say, there's moves that I've sort of modified and used differently
Yes.
compared to like the way I was taught, but the overall philosophy behind it, I would say, is the same.
Mm.
It's very interesting because, I'm 37. Some people might consider that old, but I feel very young.
Mm. You looks really young.
Thank you.
Younger than me even.
Well, physically, I still feel like I'm 25,
Mm.
but I try to fight like I'm 65. Like,
Mm.
can I do this when I'm 65? What about 70? What about 75?
Mm.
Because Helio Gracie was training until he was 95. Maybe not full contact,
Yes.
but he was still, doing positional sparring,
Mm.
like, focused sparring,
Yes.
like only chokes from the mount,
Mm.
stuff like this. So if I fight, for example, an MMA fighter
Mm.
who's heavier than I am,
Mm.
and he's a pro fighter,
Mm.
he's fighting right now.
Mm.
I can't approach the fight like, okay, I'm going to dodge his punch,
Mm.
grab him,
Mm.
take him down,
Mm.
get to a dominant position,
Mm.
and try to finish him.
Mm.
That never happens.
Mm.
If I try, I'll lose.
Mm.
So the only way I can win is to accept that this person is going to get into a dominant position
Yes.
and survive. And if that's all I do, great.
Mm.
But what happens a lot of times is they get frustrated.
Mm.
It's not what they expected.
Mm.
There's a little game we play when I'm in the bottom position
Mm.
where they want to hug my neck or they want to hit me in the face.
Mm.
They want to separate themselves from me,
Mm.
and I stifle them.
Mm.
So they don't get what they want.
Mm.
Then they start doing things that they normally don't do. And I can pick up on that.
Mm.
And that leads to like a reversal.
Mm.
That allows me to get into a dominant position.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, most people don't emphasize defense.
Mm.
They're very good on offense
Yes.
or preventing you from getting to a dominant position.
Mm.
But once you get there, it's brand new. So then the victory is very easy.
Yes.
Um,
I
it-
can
it's-
remind the match against the MMA fighter between you and the MMA fighter.
You watched that fight?
Yes.
Wow. How did you watch that fight?
Because I'm fan of you.
Wow. Okay.
I know
Wow,
everything from you because you're not only just an individual, you're a famous guy. So every Jesus guy know you better than you think.
That's interesting.
Yes.
I wasn't even referring to that. But that fight, that was a couple years ago. I made a mistake after the fight where my ego got the best of me. I was a little angry, but same situation. And he was 100+ kilos. There was no way for me to take him down and get on top of him. That was never the goal. I tried a takedown because I felt like he wasn't taking me down. So let's get to the ground.
Yes.
The whole idea was to survive, and the same thing. I wanted him to attack me. I wanted him to really try to beat me. I'm still 70 kilos, so it's about 35 kilo advantage. But I got frustrated and angry because I didn't get that. which could it's another respectable strategy for him. The way I understand it now is it's a level of respect that did not that made him choose not to try and finish me, because trying to finish me could have allowed me to escape
Yes.
and counterattack, and that the unknown was, I don't know, scary enough for him to not want to attack me. So that's respect. It's the way I should have interpreted it.
Yes.
But at that moment, I couldn't see that. And I'm growing every day as a individual. If I had that match again, that happened again, then that's probably how I would answer it. But yeah, that's very fascinating that you know about that.
What I was not happy with the reaction of a internet guy they commented or something like this. The thing is Korean guys trying to be robot without emotion. We all have emotion. We all have anger. We all have a desire to seducing girls. But they in the culture they kind of forcing us like to being a robot who doesn't have a desire. I can get anger. I can do like a crazy thing, but in my life. But it's just one time.
I can see what you're saying, and that's interesting because at that moment when I was saying after the fight when I was getting interviewed, at that moment and even now, to be honest, there's a part of me that feels no that was my authentic self.
Yeah.
So why not, right?
You're not Yoo Jae-suk.
Yeah.
You're not Yoo Jae-suk.
And so at that moment, I didn't think this was going to be an issue. When I said I think he's scared of me and things like this, I thought I was just being honest, and people would just take it for that. But people took it more as me being disrespectful to my opponent. I should be respectful even after the fight, and it was a draw, but I should be more respectful. But yeah, I can see that too. Like that was my honest opinion. So as long as I don't cross certain boundaries, like maybe if I I don't know, but I felt it wasn't too out of line.
No, not even. The thing is like this. It's like the situation that we are in a relationship. I am in a relationship with my girlfriend, and we just saw a very extreme part of somebody, and we just decide to break up. But we can even like some person even with this like extreme part or something like this. There's another story happen, like a positive story and something like this in human being.
Right.
But just one mistake can define one personality.
Yeah, and you see this all the time, especially in the Korean media. There are.
Do you like Yoo Jae-suk?
I think. Well, I don't really have a. I don't really watch.
I don't hate him. I don't like him because I don't feel him. I don't know who he is.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
I can see why you say that.
Too perfect.
I can see that. Yeah, like I do feel like I want to see the side, his real side, or is there a real side? And if that is really his real side,
it can't be.
Maybe
seriously it can't be.
That's maybe not healthy, because I've never seen him angry. You need to be angry a little bit, So, like I was saying before, it'll only explode out, or in Korea we say like 냄새가 풍기다.
Yes.
It just kind of smears out but it's never in a positive way. You just I don't know. Like I honestly I don't watch TV, so I don't.
Me neither.
I don't see a lot of him, but I was thinking about celebrities in the news nowadays because they're being accused of doing drugs or for going to I don't know, for like using prostitution. And of course the law is the law. I understand this. But I think we should look more into, let's be honest, they're not the only ones doing that, right?
Yes.
It's not a surprise. Let's not act all surprised, right? So when I read the news, I'm thinking, okay, like they're famous. I can see that. There's a lot of eyes on them, maybe even young people looking up to them. So I get this part, but I feel we should, as a society, be more concerned. Like, if they're doing it, there's something wrong with the culture. Maybe I don't feel, like there's this saying that in certain African tribes, when somebody gets sick, they have a celebration. Of course, they treat that person, but they celebrate that person because they're a sign, a symptom that there's something wrong with the way we're living life or the way we're doing things. So then they're a clue to how we can fix it. I see all addiction as it's not really a choice. There's something going on. There's a pain inside that forced you to seek pleasure outside. And going beyond what's right or wrong, we kind of have to look into that person, and not just that person, but there's thousands of other people doing the same thing.
Yes.
So, let's not just villainize this person, because there's clearly something wrong with the Korean society, right? Just looking at the birth rate, the fertility rate, it's not because we don't have money to buy a house. Plenty of poor people have lots of babies. There's some kind of conflict. There's some kind of unhappiness. There's a pain that makes you don't want to have a child. It's the culture we have to target. And it starts with little things like work hours. Like 60 hours a week that's a joke.
Yes.
It should be far lower. More flexibility. We can go on and on, like military service. I could talk about, I have a lot of things that to many people might sound controversial. Especially the military service, because I personally didn't serve in the military. But I don't see for the amount of time spent and the number of men going there, the energy going in, I don't see equal output. So I think there needs to be, I'm a master of efficiency.
Yes.
I've been doing this with jiu-jitsu, and this clearly, when I see, is not efficient. Because I have students who go to what do you call that, when after you come out of the military service, you go back.
예비군?
예비군.
Yeah. Reserve.
Yeah, and I see them. I hear stories from them, and they're not fit to fight a war. I know, right? Because I also train police officers. I train military personnel. I train many different organizations, like different people, and I'll fight with them. I'll spar with them, so I can get a general sense of their readiness for combat. And there's a huge variation, but the average Korean man, let's just say age 35 to 55, how ready are they to fight? I would be worried, right? And I think it comes from the motivation. You're forcing them to do it. It's not a choice. And that's also many men go to the military service at a young age, when discovering themselves and what they want to do as an adult. It's a very sensitive time period. But to be forced into, it's basically feels like jail.
Yes, definitely.
Right?
Yes.
To suppress their emotions and their will at that age for that long, it's only going to create problems. And so, if military training is that important, I think it should be more specialized. Maybe we can, there's so many ways. If you look at Switzerland, they divide their military service into 3 periods, mandatory military service. So it's not so concentrated. Or maybe, ground warfare is not that important anymore. Maybe we can I don't know, I'm just throwing ideas
Yeah.
off the top of my head, but you can study. Maybe there's mandatory like 6 months. You have to study something based on
Yeah.
uh, something related to military, defense.
Mm.
It could be, cyber hacking, like
Mm.
stopping hacking.
Yeah.
It could be anything, right?
Mm.
How to operate drones
Mm.
or just tactical warfare.
Mm.
I don't know, but I would assume this is not taught to the majority of men. Like tactical warfare. How do you fight with a tank?
Mm.
Where do you stand?
Mm.
In front, on the side, behind? What are you protecting?
Mm.
The side of the tank, the top of the tank? You know,
Yes.
I don't think most people learn this unless they're like put in a specialized division.
Mm.
But that's probably where you're gonna end up, right?
Mm.
You're gonna be hiding next to a tank,
Yes.
and the tanks are very important.
Mm.
And it's all about combined warfare now.
Mm.
How do you do that, right?
Mm.
So, yeah.
I think also I want to also talk about the birth rate. It's getting low and low, and because it's, I think in my memory it was like a 0.8%
Mm-hmm.
per person per couple
Mm-hmm.
in this country. So I heard that it's not been a long time. I went to one French conference, and there was one person who said that in 40 or 80 years or something like this country gonna disappear
Mm.
if it maintain this rhythm of a birth rate.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that there is a solution that Korean right wing doesn't gonna like it.
Mm.
Immigration.
Yeah.
I believe in that.
Yes.
I really believe we are capable to receive a refugee.
Yes.
They are happy here. I see a lot. I have a lot of immigrant friends.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason they left from their own country. For example, I have a Turkish friend.
Mm-hmm.
This person is female, and she's bisexual.
Mm.
Turkey is a quite Muslim country,
Mm-hmm.
so she declared herself as a refugee
Mm-hmm.
from a victim of sexualism.
I see.
So she's happy here.
Mm-hmm.
So why not to
Yeah.
like a Korean get like a very sad because they're not happy with their game
Mm.
between Korean people, because they compare with which university did you get,
Yeah.
which job did you get. But immigrant, they don't give a fuck about that. They can be happy in this country.
Mm.
So why not to receive more and more immigrant? I think it's a very good idea.
And the process for visas and just the requirements and stuff, like they have to change these to make it more friendly.
Yes.
But that's interesting because I also have a lot of foreign friends, and it's always positive things they say. They come to Korea, and I've been here for so long, it just feels all normal to me.
Mm.
But they say so many good things
Yes.
about how safe it is, how advanced it is, and it's a great, in a way, it's a great environment.
Mm.
But now the infrastructure and the open-mindedness, the culture,
Mm.
and a little bit of this has to catch up.
Mm.
But I agree. Yeah.
Mm. Personally, it's just a personal reason.
Mhm.
I think that there's a lot of Korean who are living sad because they compare with other people, because they're in their Korean game.
Right.
Like as I told you, like the surface of a house, which car do you have?
Yeah. Which
This kind of
neighborhood.
thing. That's why they're sad. If
Mhm.
they stop, if they're not in a Korean game,
Mhm.
I think they can be happy.
I think so too.
I think.
And when you say Korean game, I think it's a worldwide phenomena, but in Korea it's concentrated.
Mm.
It's like there's an exponential multiplier for many reasons, but I think it's all tied into our culture, the levels of stress we put on children.
Yes.
you know, and then you feel this void inside. You feel like you're not good enough, so you look for it outside. If you look for it outside, it becomes, you know, cars, house, neighborhood, status, power, sex, alcohol, drugs. You can only create a materialistic society, and that is the problem. You know, yeah. But the thing is, the more and more I study, the more and more I read about these. I read this book, but this author Gabor Mate is basing a lot of his knowledge off of knowledge that's been published hundreds, thousands of years ago, right? So it's not scientific breakthroughs, and some of it is, but it's just proving things that have already been taught. And so, you know, I think there's something to be said about this natural way of being and common sense. You know, just things like, hey, money is not everything. That's true.
Sometimes I talk about. I remember that one of my friends, he's very extremely Korean, and we talked about cars, like a design of cars. I really like a classical BMW. Do you know Frank Ocean?
Yes,
The cover of a Frank Ocean. Do you know the car?
I've seen it.
Nostalgia or something like this is called. So I really like this model. But his value of aesthetic is all based on money. So it's not expensive anymore, this car in Korea.
Right.
So he said that, no, it's ugly. I just like, what was the, I don't know, expensive car, like a
Right.
recent car. He doesn't even have his own aesthetic.
Maybe he doesn't like his, yeah, so his opinion may not even be his. You know? So I always say that society, the way it should be geared towards health and happiness. But it's like a couple degrees geared somewhere else, and it values how much you can consume, and then how much you can produce,
Yes.
and how much you can consume. If you don't do those two things, you usually
I can't. I didn't really
so
understand.
if you don't make anything, and if you don't buy anything,
Okay.
you're not valuable in this society,
It's capitalism.
right?
Yeah.
So you're either a little kid, which means you have potential though,
Mm.
or you're too old.
Mm.
And in Korea or everywhere in the world, in many countries in the world, you become isolated.
Mm.
In Korea, you're likely to end up in a 요양병원,
Mm.
right? Which is kind of a
Person.
right.
Mm.
Like when we say 요양병원, you feel a sadness to it. Right?
Yes.
Now, if I can't produce and I can't consume,
Mm.
I'm not valuable. That's where society's geared towards, and it literally, even if it's a 1 degree difference. For example, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I could see this situation a different way from another black belt that's 10 minutes away from me. But he's saying this is black. I'm saying this is white.
Mm.
It's not a matter of opinion.
Yes.
It's a matter of fact.
Mm.
How can we be so different? And I experienced it through jiu-jitsu. And I realized, you know what? If we're a couple degrees the wrong way and we go 20 years that direction, we're going to end up being complete opposites. Imagine how problematic this can be in
Yes.
a bigger picture and more important things.
Yes.
So that's, you know, the way I see society. It's not prioritizing your health and happiness.
Mm.
The minute I stop buying, I feel different,
Mm.
maybe even shame.
Mm.
And that could be because of the culture. That could be because of influences from my childhood.
Mm.
It could be current influences from my peers.
Mm.
You know, why aren't you buying new clothes? Why isn't your fashion, you know, you're keeping up with fashion? Just little stuff like this, you know. But yeah,
Yeah, I
this
mean,
materialistic society is very toxic.
you know, nowadays I think it really is really not kind of scam that the big fashion company like bring ecology with their brand. Because for me, the most ecologic thing that we can do is not buying.
Yeah.
Not buying clothes.
Yeah.
They try to make us buying clothes with the ecologic like a slogan or something like this. But the ideal thing is let's just share, let's just exchange old clothes and not buying, you know.
Right. And you know, I'm not a fashion expert, and this might offend some, you know, fashion experts. But I feel the most satisfaction in clothes I feel comfortable in. To be honest, I don't feel comfortable in these clothes right now. I feel most comfortable in my sweatpants, in a t-shirt that I feel has something written on it that I represent.
Okay.
For example, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
You know, if I'm going to wear a shirt, I want it to mean something.
Okay.
And this is the shirt I like wearing, right? It's comfortable. And a hoodie.
Yes.
I feel very authentic when I'm wearing this. But it's almost like when I came to this interview, I was thinking, what should I wear? And I automatically thought, okay, I need to wear something like, you know, business casual.
Neutral.
So yeah, that's what I did. And an hour before I came here, I was at the academy, I was eating breakfast. I contemplated changing my shirt. I was like, why am I putting on this polo shirt, right? Where I was looking for a Gracie t-shirt.
Yes.
I just didn't have one. I swear I would have changed if I had it. And that, and then also, let's just take, for example, shoes, right? So, you know, I got this from Hiron. There's this brand of shoes that allows you to spread your toes.
I have one.
Yeah,
Also.
I do too. My shoes right now, they look like normal shoes. They're actually,
What's the name of brand?
there's many. There's a Vivo Barefoot,
Yeah, Vibram.
yes. Splay, Zero Shoes.
Yes.
So many now. But then you look at a company like Nike or Adidas, and their slogan says like "Run freely" or "Be who you are," original. You know, things like this. And the question I'm asking is, like, the thing I'm saying is, you don't even know the very fundamental basic thing, right? That toes should not be pushed together like that, right? How could you even talk about running? Like, even the heel, you don't even understand the mechanics behind the shoe and how it's bad for you to have too much of a cushion. I think not being able to spread your toes is definitely a bad thing. Let's start with that, right? But, you know, it's probably a big financial loss for them to like change their manufacturing process, you know, just to fit this. And many people don't know yet, and it's not profitable yet. So it's little stuff like that. And like the food industry, there's every industry is focused on consumption, production.
Yes.
And when health and happiness, we can sacrifice a little bit if we've gone too far. We don't want to rewind and come back. So it always comes at a cost. That's why I have like very little faith in. I question everything. It drives some people crazy, like people next to me.
It's a good thing to question.
But I question everything, you know?
Yeah.
Like, have you heard of Forever Chemicals? No. So this was made famous by the company DuPont and 3M. DuPont made this, you know, the frying pan, the stainless steel.
You mean Dupont?
DuPont.
Yeah, for lighter company. Dupont.
I think they make a lot of things.
Okay.
A lot of household products.
Yeah.
But they put this coating on the frying pan.
Yeah.
And it was you know, it became a big issue because they started pouring all these chemicals into the lakes.
Okay.
Near the factories.
Okay.
Animals were dying. People were getting cancer at a absurd rate. Now, what's interesting is that there are millions of variations of these forever chemicals that are just as bad. But in the U.S., for example, they banned like 3 of them,
Okay.
the most common ones.
Mm.
But there's millions. So if you don't use those 3, it's okay now.
Mm.
So you probably have one at your house.
Mm.
It's doing bad things to your body,
Mm.
just not right away.
Mm.
You're not gonna die of it
Yes.
tomorrow.
But it's gonna stuck in the body.
Yeah, it may be one of the causes of your cancer. It may be the reason why your doctor goes, I don't know,
Mm.
it's genetic.
Yes.
So because they can hide in this ambiguity, nobody's doing anything about it,
Mm.
right? And you just can't get rid of a company like 3M,
Mm.
or can you?
Mm.
You know, I don't know. If I was the emperor, I would just go, hey, you're out.
Yeah.
You know, take your stuff and get out. But yeah, we need to be more conscious of these kind
Yeah,
of
I
things.
think as an individual, we should now this modern day we should research about those kind of things actively.
Yeah.
Otherwise, television we can't believe because television. I really don't believe in television
Mm.
and other media neither.
Mhm.
So we should like actively like research, doubting about things,
Mhm.
and it's how we can living with good health.
Yeah, and that's why like independent media is very important.
Mm.
Podcasts.
Mm.
Thank God that now experts and professionals can freely express themselves without,
Yes.
you know, you don't have to rise among the ranks to be the host, or,
Mm.
you know, if you have a good mind and a good will and you make a podcast, then
Mm.
people can watch and listen and learn. And some of the stuff that I say may be wrong, and I might find out later after this podcast comes out.
Mm.
But that's, you know, that's natural, right?
Mm.
It's not to say that what I think now is what I'm forever going to believe. So, you know, if somebody writes something on the comments and I find out that they're right or I was wrong, great. Then
Mm.
I learn, you know.
Yeah.
There is no ego. There's no judgment
But
as
just-
long as we learn, you know.
we shouldn't just believe in one person or something.
Right,
We should
right.
compare every knowledge.
Yeah.
But about the, I think that's why also education system of one nation is really important
Mm.
for alimentation. I bring again my experience in Tahiti
Mm.
because their obesity is really problem in Tahiti. Big problem, obesity.
Did you live in Tahiti?
Yes,
How long?
for 1 year.
Wow. You know, that's interesting because my assumption would be like people would be happier and healthier there.
They're fat and happy.
Okay.
Like
Oh, wait, tell me about it then. Like, cause you were talking about how there's alcoholism
like
and fighting.
they're kind of obese, but they play in ukulele or something.
Ah.
Like, so this kind of vibe, you know,
Okay.
like a Maori vibe.
Mhm, mhm.
But this is problem because obesity is not good for their health. But the thing is, I heard that there is very weak education for the alimentation. For example, what I saw in real is there was one mother and her baby of 8 months.
Mhm.
Baby was in her arm, and mother was giving a Coca-Cola
Mm,
to her baby.
I see.
So I was keeping see this kind of visual. So I said, from my understanding, is their mentality is like this. I want to feed something good to my baby.
Mm.
There is another explanation. There is another example of this kind of miss of education. Tahitian people, there is no transition because this is a country of colonization of France. So before colonization, they're kind of primitive,
Mm.
and then they became too fast
Mm.
in to modern country.
It's like Korea.
Yes, but
Mhm.
more than that.
Mhm.
For example, they burn motorcycle after using. They burn motorcycle like tree. They burn refrigerator like a tree.
Why?
because for them it's evident to burn something when they don't use. Like in the culture, there is no. They don't pay attention to ecology because they didn't need to pay attention to ecology.
I see.
So what they do is what I wanted to say. So do you know there is a maybe in US there is a this product corned beef. It's like a spam.
Yeah.
But beef. You know, it's in a can. They put the fire with the wood, and they put the corned beef can on the fire, and they cook like this, like a pot. But there's a lot of bad, like a PVC, like a hormone inside of can. They know, but culturally, they don't act like that for themselves, for their health.
Or maybe they can see there's this. I mean, for example, myself, like growing up in Korea, I always thought anything American was good. It was
Me too.
something
Me too.
backed by a big company
Yes,
is good.
I exactly think like
It's better.
yes.
That's what I thought. Little did I know, I didn't need it at all. Or the more natural thing, which is usually cheaper and free, is better.
Yes.
So maybe there's a misunderstanding of like materialism. You know, Coca-Cola. How if I'm drinking, it's a good thing. You know, I'm modern and it's expensive. So I thought that too. You know, I thought like Pepsi Light, Coca-Cola Light, or Coca-Cola Zero. These things were okay. Man, and just basic things like sugar.
Yes.
It seems common. I thought it was normal, but the minute I stopped eating sugar, like processed sugar, man, I feel so much better.
Me too. I stopped this sugar.
Yeah, and before when I was hungry, I got upset and angry and emotional. I couldn't last very long. But now I just feel hungry. I'm not irritated or and yeah, it's less is more.
Yeah, but I think I really think that the problematic one of the problematic thing in the modern diet is I'm doubting about that. It's not answer. Like a fitness style diet, like what we recommend, like chicken breast and white rice and broccoli.
Yeah, I can go on for days about this.
Yeah, those kind of thing, white fish or something like this. But where is fermentation? Where is fermentation? Where is like a probiotic? Where is like a spice? Spice is really it helps the function of a body. Why culturally? Why traditionally? We all human being in India, in Asia, or something like this, we use spice. Surely because it is getting otherwise it's getting too bad too quickly without the salt and spice or something like this. But also it helps something ginger or chili or something like that. It helps some function mineral. I don't know, but there should be a reason why all Korean diet was good for health. Even they didn't even consume chicken breast and white rice and like one avocado or something like this. For me, there is already good food in Korean food, but why we consume why we go there artificially consuming Western guys' food is weird.
I think it's a very complex topic because the more I look into it, the more I realize there's so much going on. There's a lot of things going on. Like number one, this overplay of the importance of eating protein. So I'm 37, very active lifestyle. I should probably eat 40 to 60 grams of protein a day.
Mm.
That's very little. Imagine going to a steakhouse and saying, "Can I get 50 grams of steak?"
Mm.
You're gonna look at it and go, "That's so small,"
Mm.
right? But we feel like we need to eat lots and lots of protein.
Mm.
And there's qualities there are different kinds of proteins. Now you can go into saying, well, do we need to eat animal tissue?
Mm.
That's a whole new subject, right?
Mm.
For me, I don't eat meat or dairy.
Mm.
Everything's plant-based. But even if you look at vegetables and fruits, the way they're grown, just because they look good doesn't mean they have good quality. And they're made of good quality. Like the soil we use, everything, we're messing it up.
Mm.
And so you can eat a salad and feel extremely hungry, or you can eat a salad and feel extremely full.
Mm.
It just really depends on where it was grown, how it was grown, things like this. So, I'll leave it to the other experts to dive into this field, but everything that we consider quote unquote normal today, I would highly doubt that it is, because again, health and happiness are not the main priorities.
Mm.
Why is it that when I walk into the nearest CU or the GS25, it's almost impossible to find something healthy to eat?
Mm.
It's very hard for me. It's
For me too.
very stressful, right?
Yes. That's why
a banana is the best thing I can find,
Yes.
right?
Exactly. Sweet potato.
But then you have all this processed food and sugar, and I understand as a business, it stays on the shelf longer, so it's a good business model.
Yes.
But who gives a damn? Like, and then you're always reminded when you're paying before you check out. So you sure? You don't want you don't want these sweets? You don't want a cigarette? You're always reminded, right? So it's just a classic example. They're not there to help you, right? Why does an iPhone come out every year? I have a phone. Just change my camera. I pay for the camera. It's all like unnecessary stuff. But it's complicated. I understand. Everything's globalized. It's politics, economics. Everything's tied in together.
There is a lot of war, a big war there, and then countries go kind of to right side. I feel that, like Italian president, extreme right side, and what was that? One of other European country, extreme right. And France government, there is another election, but people talk a lot about some politician, extreme right. It's crazy for me. It's really crazy for me. But that means that we becoming more and more capitalist, and more like a competitive about everybody for nothing. So we going far from happiness. It's just my judgment.
And who's to say that's the right model? Why do you need one president?
What does it mean?
Like, why is it one person? Why do we think that's so normal, right? And I think I don't have an alternative plan, but it just seems a little absurd that one person is deemed the leader of a country of millions. That seems very
weird from our nature.
Impossible. And heck, it could be 100 people. You can elect 100 people with no one person as the outright leader. Who knows? Like there's many different ways, but how come we don't experiment with that? I'm sure there are other experts that know better about this. Just things like this. And, capitalism, right? This idea of the invisible hand. Adam Smith. The invisible hand, right? There's this idea that if we lived in a small community or tribe and you did something that was immoral,
Mm.
in our market,
Mm.
you'd be in a lot of trouble.
Mm.
You would never be that expert again.
Mm.
We would all hold you accountable.
Yes.
But now, because something bad came out of this,
Mm.
we don't even know whose fault it is.
Mm.
Like some other company makes the lid, and everything's so divided. We don't know who's responsible. The person who's responsible may have ties to the person who's supposed to hold them accountable. Like there is no more invisible hand.
Mm.
And we saw one clear example in the 2008 recession in the United States.
Mm.
I was in New York City at that time.
2008, what happened already?
The housing market,
What is
the housing crisis,
okay.
yeah, the whole subprime mortgage thing. I was in New York City. I literally thought the people were going to overthrow the government. That's what it felt like.
Mm.
Young people were on the streets marching, maybe a little violent. They were marching down to Wall Street. I experienced this, and I did a lot of research into it. It's basically that. There was no monitoring.
Mm.
Nobody really even understood what these products are. And by doing too much of it, what are the what could happen in the long term, right? So when the problem erupted, they needed somebody who was in the industry making that to help solve the problem in the government. So, the people who were supposed to monitor it didn't really understand what was going on. And that's what happens when the only or the main goal is profit. And
So communism failed, and we all go to capitalism. But we all already knew that capitalism is not answer, definitive answer.
maybe not on this big of a scale, Yeah.
Did you read? I'm sure that you read *Sapiens*. *Sapiens*.
I have the book. I didn't read it.
You
I didn't
didn't?
finish it, but
Okay.
yeah.
So in this book, he said that. So what is the difference between our human being and other animal? The big difference is hand also, because we can use tool. But the most big difference is our competence of communication. With this, there is a lot of animal who can communicate with other their own species. For example, dolphin, they communicate each other, and elephant, they communicate each other, and ants with pheromone, and any other. Like there is a lot of animal who has their own language, but the thing is, human being can communicate with the fact in the past, the fact in the future, the fact in the present. Very complicated. It's not comparable with the other language of other animal. So chimps, leader chimp, alpha male chimp can have their group of I think in my memory it was a maximum 20 chimps, 30 chimps. But human being, how much? Like Vladimir Putin, he can control how much people? Like Kim Jong-un can control how much people? Like we can.
Maybe they're not.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not working. It's not working.
It's not working. But even as you said, in other country, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, even in a small country, maybe it's not working. We just don't see bombs or wars or famine, things that are like so apparent to the eye. The system may be rotting. We just all we feel is this general malaise. Something's not right. but nobody really knows what.
Yeah.
I know I felt that. I still feel it. I felt it growing up. That was my mission in university. I didn't care about anything else except jiu-jitsu. and then finding out why I feel like there's something wrong. So I wanted to study history. I wanted to study trends. You know, why is Korea like this? Why is America like that? Why are these countries like this? What has to happen to make these trends go up and down? What is normal? You know, and my conclusion is nothing that we think is normal anymore. You know, if you want to study a giraffe or a zebra, you would go to its natural environment. We automatically assume this is our natural environment. It's not.
What does it mean? Zebra and giraffe, they're not in their natural
Well, it's like looking at us is like trying to study a zebra at a zoo.
Okay.
You're not seeing the authentic, the real zebra, how it's supposed to behave. People too. People are very good at adapting to new environments.
We are adapting animal, human being.
Right. But we're also the only animal that is destroying this planet. You know, what other animal is doing that? Doesn't that say something? Like, that's why I say just general common sense and just this natural law. If it conflicts with that, then there's something fundamentally wrong about it that we need to address, like, now. You know? Yeah, so this is my bigger goal. It's to go beyond jiu-jitsu. This is the way I was taught, and this is the way that I also feel a lot of joy and satisfaction from doing. It's to help people in life, and mostly the younger generation, to teach them that this is not the way it has to be, or the way it should be. Now I can make this more convincing to people if I live it, and if I quote unquote succeed, or in their eyes I've succeeded, whatever that means, right? That's what motivates me, right? It's not, you know, I'm at a certain age where I've had this kind of car before. I've lived in this kind of apartment before. My parents, my dad's business was at times up and was at times down. I have friends who are both extremely poor and extremely rich. I don't see fluctuating levels of happiness and satisfaction among all those people. And even in my life, when my dad's business was doing great, that correlated when I was at my lowest. It's interesting, right? And
me too.
When my dad's business did not do well, that's when I decided that jiu-jitsu is the way I wanted to go. Interesting, right? Maybe I felt like I'm finally free. I don't know. But I think there's something there. The cars I drove, the most expensive, most valuable one was not the one that I liked. In fact, it was the most uncomfortable one. I was always worried about getting a scratch on it, or I didn't feel comfortable in it. The car that I remember the most was the one I felt most comfortable in. The one I could just drive however I wanted to drive it. And a little bump here and there is natural, which it is, right? How could you not get a scratch on a car? That's what it is. A car is like, it's like a handphone. It's gonna get hit, and random people are gonna hit it when you're not looking at it, and when you're not there, it's parked. That's the function of a car. Right? It is what it is. You're gonna drop your phone, so stop protecting it as if it was your health. Right? It's your health that you need to prioritize. Your communication skills, your subconscious, your spirituality. Meditation. Why aren't we teaching meditation? I had to teach it to myself. I never learned this. Probably the most important thing in my life right now. So, nutrition. Yeah, I learned about it, but it was, in my mind, taught wrong, incorrectly. So, yeah, hopefully I can get it right. be an example, and then teach it.
Mm.
I think in the end it comes down to that, right? There is no, I truly believe there is no self. It's an illusion.
There is no self.
You're not, we think we are our thoughts, our personality. We have a, I don't know, how do you say this? Like, I am me. I am Jason Park. You know, I'm this unique human being.
Yes.
I don't think so. You know, I think I'm just a living creature.
Yes.
I get a lot of joy and happiness from feeling, you know, love, and also from helping people and helping others. I think that's very natural for a human. We're social animals, so we need to help each other.
Yes.
That's the way nature designed us. The more you start to focus on yourself, what you're wearing, what you're thinking, how you look, it's only natural that you get less. You're not as happy. So stop. You know.
We can't do anything just alone. We should always like communicate with people.
Right. And we need to learn.
Yes.
Because the world we're living in is not normal.
Okay, I think it's very good for today. And yeah, maybe we can continue to talk with that.
Sure.
I mean, it's very impressive because I really enjoyed to talk with you, and I felt like yeah, we can continue for another like 5 hours or something like this. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to meet you, and I'd like to share other things also.
Yeah, and it's great. There's a lot of people like us too. It's just there's not a lot of chances nowadays to meet people and to talk. You know, everything's done on social media now.
Yeah.
But this is great, and I'm sure there's more people out there, more interesting people who have similar ideas and feel similar things.
Yeah, people, where are you? It's
Yeah.
like in a zombie film.
Yeah.
On radio we say,
Yeah,
where are
yeah.
you, people?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the motivation of this podcast. You have a word before ending the podcast?
You know, I guess the last thing I would like to just end on, because we talked about it a lot, is to try to connect with your authentic self. I don't feel like you can ever lose it, because I think everybody feels there's something disconnected in them. That means it's still there. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know, right? So search for it, listen to it, talk nicely to it. That means talk nicely to yourself and connect with yourself, whether that's jujitsu, whether that's swimming, whether that's music, art, something artistic. Your gut feeling is probably right. That's who you are. So keep doing that. And yeah, meditate, develop a sense of spirituality. That would be my ultimate advice.
Not only scrolling for 10 hours.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah.
Do you scroll?
No. I mean, I have to. Or maybe not, but I do for work, for maybe a little bit of social media, but my mind, I try to stay away from it. I do everything I can to stay away from it. From putting settings on my phone to deleting stuff to deleting people. But I understand it's not a good thing for me.
I should stop. I scroll a lot.
It's wasting dopamine.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much for
Yes.
coming today. Let's see you another time.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.